people would mean strong identity through in-person proofing, but in the context of an identity metasystem, which I'll talk about more in a minute, because the identity metasystem gives us the ability to really control how identities get used and making sure that only the information that we choose to reveal gets revealed as part of that. So, but to have that foundational piece, you need to have that strong in-person proofing. You also need to have clear accountability. You know, it doesn't help if I've got strong identity, if I've got trusted people, if I can't have the accountability just like I do in real life for those people, for their actions and how that gets interacted with. So I need to make sure that the trusted people is an element of this as well that helps in then use in that cloud computing context and be able to have those kinds of interactions and have it work well. Trusted stack, a key piece of that. The enabling technology, or the enabling, I should say, metasystem that then technology fits into is the identity metasystem. The identity metasystem really takes what we have as today as username and passwords and changes it and breaks it apart into its component pieces of identification, authentication, authorization, and access, and makes those independent entities that we can then use in different ways that gives us a lot of benefit in terms of how we think about these things and to make it scalable and viable in a cloud computing context. This is something that really gives us the ability to do secure information exchange, because now we have the right context and the right ability to identify where it came from, have confidence that it came from that source, and be able to know and only expose as much information as we need to in that confidence and in that context. It gives us easy federation for better access control, so we can have a way of working across these, and that's so critical in cloud computing. The ability to work across these different clouds and to be able to integrate and take advantage of that great computing power in the sky, as opposed to being tied to any one particular silo or any one particular narrow definition of how that comes together. It also really moves decisions closer to the key stakeholders. Key stakeholders now can be the ones that make authorization and access decisions, as opposed to arbitrary ones that get made somewhere else in the ecosystem that don't have a direct context to know what the information or how it's being used. So it's very important that we can move those decisions and to make them closer to those key stakeholders. It also makes it easier for applications and data to cross the different boundaries, because we have a way of having trust that we can build across these boundaries. That's trust boundaries from your enterprise to the cloud, it's between cloud to cloud, it's from your home desktop to the cloud. Those trust boundaries have evaporated, but we don't have good ways of moving that back and forth and being able to have that available to us. It's also important to creating user-centric collaboration. By that I mean it's the ability to collaborate, to do ad hoc collaboration, but to do it in a way that protects people's rights and their privacy and allows it to be done in a user-centric fashion. One of the demonstrations that you saw as part of the keynote was with the Lake Washington School District. What they've been doing is they've been having a pilot project around being able to issue an identity metasystem within the context of the school. That's allowing them now to think about ways that they can take and extend this project to allow collaboration among students based on different claims that they can make. Claims of being a certain age, claims of being in a certain class, claims of being affiliated with a certain teacher, claims to being affiliated in different ways that lets them interact, that they know they can have trust because they know that they're part of that group and there's strong identification behind them being an element of that group. But it also creates a verification regime and creates accountability so that if there is any problem, they're clearly accountable for their actions and there isn't any question about where that came from and how that got done, while preserving that privacy, which is also a key piece of that trust. The other part of this, which is also critical, is the choice of identity providers. The ability to be able to have federation and ability to have portability such that I can take and, as I said, write an application once, have it be able to be used inside of my enterprise or inside of my home, and have it be able to run in the cloud and be able to have the same identity metasystem between the two and have a choice of the identity providers. They could be my own identity metasystem that I run. It could be a third party that I choose to affiliate with. It could be anybody, but it's the context of being able to have that federation, that affiliation, that the identity claims metasystem helps facilitate and helps provide that context. So a very key foundational piece to this is this whole identity metasystem based on in-person proofing and a claims-based system. All of this won't work unless we can manage it and we can verify it. Key is management. Being able to really know that you can manage is the core key piece of being able to do risk and security well. If you can't manage it, you can't do risk and security well. You have to know where your assets are, you have to know how they're being used, and you have to be able to assess and metricize and know what's happening in terms of that infrastructure. You also need to trust but verify. You need to be able to have that capability when there's issues, or at least have that deterrence that creates of being able to go back and verify certain transactions, be able to verify that things happen in the right context, that your information, that application is being used in the right context. It's also core to being able to roll back bad trust decisions. The ability to be able to say, I made a bad choice, and I have the ability now to go through and verify what actions were taken, and to roll that back, especially when there's any kind of malicious activity that takes place, so that I can have that be a key piece of what I need to do. This is a deterrent to bad actors. What this does is this gives us the ability to really create a regime whereby people who have our best interests not at heart don't have an opportunity to take advantage of our reputations and to use them for their own ends. Things like malware writers or spammers are kind of key in that piece to help make the ecosystem more secure. But the other piece of that is also giving us an ability to have a basis for long-term reputation. The ability to really have that sort of rolling reputation that can show how we've been able to act in a trustworthy manner over time, and allows now people to have that as a value add, a differentiation for the kind of service or the kind of interactions they want to have. So a key differentiation when you're operating in a wireless cyber world, in terms of especially the cloud, that ability to have a reputation that you can use to be able to have value and to provide a basis for trust, and to be able to have agreements that you can then enter into and carry forward. So all of these things work together into this end-to-end trust vision. We've talked about all the different piece parts around the fundamentals, the trusted stack, the identity metasystem. We've talked a bit about the fact that we need to get the alignment of the economic forces, the social requirements, and the regulatory and political to work together to make this all viable, and that you are a key part of that dialogue. You're the consumer of this as well as the creator of this. So you need to be the one that's asking hard questions and thinking through what are the real answers that need to happen to make this viable, make this possible, make this work well. So we have a call to action for you. And that is, before moving to the cloud, we want you to ask hard questions and expect clear answers. You need to be thinking about what you're doing in the cloud in the context that we've talked about of end-to-end trust, and these different implications of how I make trust decisions, and that you've got clear answers around that. Microsoft's trying to help facilitate that discussion through our communities we're building, through the forum, but we encourage you at every step to enter into the dialogue, to help be an informed consumer and provider, and to help us move end-to-end trust into the reality it needs to be, so that cloud computing can realize everything it can be. I really appreciate your time, and I hope you have a great show here at RSA, and I'm looking forward to engaging in a dialogue with you at End-to-End Trust. Thank you.